All right, everybody, get ready, because today we are diving into Gurdjieff.
Yeah. We are talking fourth way teachings,
Specifically, one crazy part of it.
the law of seven.
Yeah, the Law of Seven, which is also sometimes called the Law of the Octave.
Right. And we're going to really unpack this. And it's not just some abstract idea. This is a law, at least according to our source material, Legge del Sette, the PDF. It underpins how the universe works.
And I love how it starts. It starts by saying that studying humanity, studying ourselves, is basically the same as studying the world, the entire universe. They're governed by the same laws. It's all connected. So to understand one, you have to understand the other.
Right. It's a really interesting concept, and it all boils down to this idea of vibrations. And that might sound kind of out there.
Yeah, I was a little lost when I first read that.
But think about it this way. Vibrations, they're like the building blocks of everything, right? Like
Yeah.
everything around us is vibrating at some frequency.
Okay, so we are talking about like energy and
Yeah.
how that plays into all this.
Exactly. And, normally when we think about vibrations, we think of them as like a smooth, continuous flow, like a straight line.
Yeah, like a constant hum.
Yeah. But Gurdjieff, he's saying, hold on a second, it's not that simple. He's saying these vibrations, they don't just flow effortlessly in a straight line. They experience these little hiccups, these points where their momentum kind of dips.
Okay, so it's not a smooth ride. It's more like we're on like a bumpy road.
More like a cosmic traffic jam, right?
Yeah.
These fluctuations, these moments of slowdown, they're crucial to understanding how this whole law actually plays out in reality, in our lives.
And that's where this whole octave thing comes in, right? Does this have to do with music?
It does. It's a really good analogy. So think about a musical octave.
Hmm.
The notes rise in this predictable pattern.
Yeah.
Exactly. And the law of seven suggests that vibrations in any process, whether it's a musical scale or a personal project you're working on, or even like the rise and fall of civilizations,
Yeah.
they follow a similar pattern. They rise and fall, but at very predictable points, they hit this kind of cosmic speed bump.
So it's not just about the vibrations themselves, but these points of like slowdown that happen along the way. Like those times you're working on something and you hit a wall and it feels like you're going nowhere.
Exactly, yeah. And just like an octave, where the intervals between the notes, they're not all equal, right?
Sure.
The periods of smooth sailing and slowdown in any process, they're not symmetrical either.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Now, one is longer than the other, which adds another kind of layer of complexity to it.
This is blowing my mind here. Are you saying there's a predictable pattern to these slowdowns? Like, if we know what to look for?
That's a million-dollar question, right?
Yeah.
And it's where things get really interesting. Because
Yeah.
if you can identify those points, well,
You could,
Yeah.
like, anticipate them
yeah,
and maybe even use them to your advantage.
exactly. It's like knowing when to push on the gas or when to kind of coast for a bit so you don't burn out.
Mm.
Gurdjieff, he called this driving force behind the vibrations the force of impulse.
Force of impulse. Okay.
Yeah, think of it like fuel. Sometimes you're running on a full tank, other times you're sputtering towards the gas station.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah. And the law of seven, it suggests that these points of change, these slowdowns, they're not random. They're woven into the fabric of how things unfold.
So what? The universe is just one big cosmic traffic jam?
In a way, yeah. But think about the implications for a second, right? Like, if we can start to understand these points of slowdown in different systems, in our personal growth, in historical trends, or even in something like, I don't know, the stock market even,
We could anticipate those energy slumps.
and maybe even use them to our advantage. Precisely.
Okay, so how do we actually do that? How do we find these octaves? How do we even begin to, like, recognize these patterns in our own lives?
Well, that's the journey, isn't it? It's about paying attention, being present.
Yeah, being mindful.
Exactly. And noticing those moments where things feel a little off, where you hit that wall you were just talking about, right?
So we're not just talking about external stuff here. We're also talking about our own personal growth.
Absolutely. It's all connected, remember. Our inner world, our outer world.
So, like, if I'm trying to learn a new skill or if I'm working on a project, there are going to be these predictable points where I'm going to hit a wall.
Most likely, yeah. But the key is to recognize those points, not as failures, but as opportunities. Opportunities to pause, to reflect, to maybe adjust your approach, and to kind of recharge, refill that force of impulse so you can keep moving forward.
Man, this is a lot to take in.
It is. It is. It's a whole new way of looking at things.
But it's also kind of exciting.
It is exciting. It's empowering even, because it suggests that we're not just victims of circumstance, at the mercy of these random ups and downs. We can learn to understand these rhythms, these cycles.
And work with them.
Exactly. And use them to our advantage to achieve our goals, to live more fulfilling lives, to make better sense of the world around us.
It's really making me rethink everything. And on that note, we'll leave you to ponder the mysteries of the Law of Seven and how it might be playing out in your own life. Until next time.